achieved.
Holy cow, it's us. Me and you. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Studio Day Heffrey. And to the one guy who said in the comments that he saw a picture of me and the lady, yes, she is hot. And yes, I am tall. He thought I was short. He said I look short in the videos. Do I need to get up 6'3", bro? I might be 6'2" now, though, because my right leg doesn't straighten, so I might have lost a little bit there. What's up? Welcome, everybody. It's nice to see you for another day of Cowboys Conversation. A couple of things to talk about, and these are all out of the comments from yesterday's video. So remember, I need your thumbs up on the video, youtube.com/Jeff Kavanaugh. I need you to subscribe, turn on the notifications, and if you want to hear about something tomorrow, I need you to leave it in the comments for me, okay? Do that. Number one, this one I like. I didn't want to start with, what is this? Penny? I didn't want to start with him because he's talking about Byron Jones, and he's not a Cowboy anymore. I'm tired of fighting with you guys about Byron, but I will address it at the end. But let's start with the Cowboys defense. Daryl said, could you discuss the best and worst case scenarios for the defense at each spot? And yeah, I think that's fun. Best case scenario. Do you want me to break down? I'm asking like you can interact right now. I'm recording this. Should I do defensive tackles and defensive ends separately, or should I do them as one group? We'll start with defensive tackle. Best case scenario defensive tackle is that Dontari Poe is a giant upgrade over Antoine Woods. Gerald McCoy is an upgrade over Malik Collins. Neville Gallimore is an upgrade as your second 3 technique. And your second nose tackle is probably Antoine Woods. Maybe in your best case scenario, Tristan Hill in camp impresses, and he's got a little something to say about the defensive line. But I think the best case scenario for the defensive tackle group could be good. That you've got Dontari Poe, who is a better run stopper than anybody they had on the line last year other than Tank, but definitely anybody at the D tackle spot. Gerald McCoy is able to get even more pressure than Malik Collins did and be a better run defender than he was. And that's that at D tackle. Worst case at that spot, God, I really think worst case, you're better than you were last year at defensive tackle. Worst case is that Dontari Poe and Gerald McCoy are both a little bit over the hill. That Neville Gallimore is not ready to be a dude that plays 30 or 40% in an NFL football game, and that he can't hold the point of attack, that Tristan Hill is a bust, and Antoine Woods is a subpar player. That is your worst case scenario at defensive tackle. But I'm pretty comfortable with that spot going into this year. Defensive end, the best case scenario, Tank Lawrence is back. Tank Lawrence gets 11 or 12 sacks. Tyrone Crawford being back in the mix really helps solidify your defensive end group and maybe even play some tackle snaps. Aldon Smith is something even resembling what he was his first couple of years in the league and is a threat to be a double-digit sack guy. Randy Gregory gets reinstated, and on third downs, you're running out Aldon Smith, Randy Gregory, Tank Lawrence, and Tyrone Crawford, or Gerald McCoy as your fourth, going after the quarterbacks. That's your best case. Worst case is Aldon Smith hadn't played in forever, and he's nothing like the guy that he was, and you get very little out of him. Gerald McCoy is not what he was, and so you're not getting a lot of interior help, which makes it hard on Tank again, and he's unable to get to double-digit sacks. And, yeah, that's probably worst case there. And I'm going to split the difference on that. Like, I don't think best case is realistic. Putting that much expectation on Aldon Smith, to me, is insanity. Just hope for it. Just hope for it. But I'm not going to put a bunch of expectation on him. So I think I kind of want to play it that way, which, what do you think is more likely, best case or worst case at each group? For D tackles, I think it's more likely best case. For defensive ends, I'm going to split the difference and say I have no leaning. I don't think it'll be best case, but I also don't think it'll be worst case. Tank's going to have 8 minimum, 13 max. He'll have sacks again this year. Linebackers, best case. Your linebacker play last year wasn't good enough because your defensive tackle play wasn't good enough. Your linebacker play last year wasn't good enough because your linebacker coach was a train wreck that couldn't even get along with his players. So the best case is that by virtue of the things around them, your linebackers are free to do what they do best. Leighton Vander Esch has the physical ability to be a superstar in this league. If you're able to have your defensive tackles be a bigger threat this year and give those guys a more clear lane to run and chase, and let Leighton Vander Esch play in coverage, the best case is that, I know Jalen went to a Pro Bowl last year, but I don't think he's a Pro Bowl player. The best case is that Jalen Smith is a solid starter and Leighton Vander Esch is a Pro Bowler. That's the best case. The worst case is that Jalen Smith is still a liability in coverage that can't change direction or play in space, and that Leighton Vander Esch, the neck thing, either lingers or gets hurt again, and Sean Lee and Joe Thomas are no longer capable of being NFL starters. On defense, do I lean towards best or worst case? It's not fair because it's the offseason. In the offseason, a lot of people are optimistic, right? I'm optimistic about the player that Leighton Vander Esch can be. I'm somewhat optimistic about the player that Jalen Smith can be. I think they're going to be better than they were a year ago because they're no longer going to be undercoached, and they'll have guys in front of them that can actually help them a little bit. So you'll get better linebacker play this year. That's going to happen. Corners. Are we counting Cheeto as a corner? For now, I'm going to count Cheeto as a corner. Best case. I want you to know I'm going to lean towards worst case no matter what. But best case is Trayvon Diggs is a step-in starter. They let him play press man. They let him disrupt timing at the line of scrimmage, and he's able to ball out as a rookie. Best case is that Cheeto was being held back by the way that they're coached, with their techniques, with Chris Richard, and that now they're able to be more comfortable in what they're doing. The thing about Cheeto is, for all the flack that he gets, and he didn't have a good year last year, he's not a bad cover guy. He just wasn't able to finish. He was right there for so many plays and wasn't able to finish. So the best case is Cheeto is able to locate the ball and finish with his back to the ball. Trayvon Diggs is able to step in and start and ball a little bit. And Jordan Lewis or Anthony Brown, who am I picking as the starter there? Jordan Lewis is in the last year of his deal. Anthony Brown just got brought back. It's competition, but it's always been Anthony Brown when he's healthy. The best case is whichever guy is there in the nickel. I think I'm going to go with Jordan because I think he's a better turnover guy and he's a better blitzer. So the best case is that he wins that job. And you've got a nickel corner who's useful as a blitzer and is able to force turnovers. That's the best case. The worst case is that you lost one of the best cornerbacks in football, and now you're going to run out a rookie who's going to have his struggles. Cheeto is going into year 4 and is going to just continue down the path he's been on, which is, he's a starter. And Jordan Lewis or Anthony Brown keeps giving up 9 yards per target. That's your worst case. And I'm going to lean towards worst case, but it's worst case, so it won't be that bad. It's safety. Worst case. Clinton Dix can't tackle. He's just okay in coverage. Xavier Woods doesn't take any steps forward and is a 2-interception guy who's not playing his responsibility all the time and not always a reliable tackler. That's your worst case. Best case is my guy Xavier Woods takes a step and gets you 4 or 5 picks, forces a couple of fumbles. The only thing is I don't even know how they're going to play him. I mean, I don't think they're going to be a cover 3 team like we're used to necessarily. But Clinton Dix, you don't want in the box, and like Xavier Woods can do that, but I want him as my free safety. So the worst case is they're a bad tackling tandem and they still don't force turnovers. And I will lean towards, if I have to pick, worst case, though I believe in Xavier Woods. I'm splitting the difference on that one. And at corner, best case scenario is that guys like Darryl Worley can play, Maurice Kennedy can play. You've got multiple guys who can play the slot. Reggie Robinson is able to be really good on special teams, your 4th-round pick, and maybe a contributor in dime packages. So the best case is that your depth at corner turns out to be enough that you can get by without having an awesome cover corner. So that's the position group debate. That's the defensive preview by position group. Now let me get to your other questions. Remember to leave them in the comments if you have something you want to talk about tomorrow. Chris Wallace, he said, Jeff, you skipped over the part about Mike Nolan, which I was really hoping to hear your opinion on. When we picked up Nolan, I went back and looked at his stats and his groups regressed year after year. I'm concerned McCarthy just picked his buddy to be DC rather than find someone that will actually bring the best out of our defense. Thoughts? I have no idea what to think of Mike Nolan. He's had defenses that are good and cause a lot of turnovers. He's had defenses that are bad and force few turnovers. He's kind of been all over the place, and he's been a position coach lately, and now he's a DC again. Where I draw my hope from is I think Tom Sula is a good defensive line coach. I think it's really addition by subtraction in a lot of cases with some of the coaches that are gone, where you couldn't be worse. You couldn't be worse than being the team that no one had less interceptions than the Cowboys last year. You can't be worse than that. You can't be worse on special teams. But with Mike Nolan, I don't know what to expect. I think what you can expect, though, is more press coverage from the corners, where you're trying to disrupt timing at the line of scrimmage. You're trying to jam guys up and not have things be free and clean and play in this bend but don't break. I expect a bigger emphasis on turning the ball over instead of the emphasis on, please don't get beat deep, which I get the value in both of them. I think most people just want to see whichever one they haven't had lately. And the Cowboys last year, if you just go by like yards per play, yards per drive, they weren't a bad defense, but we watched them play. That wasn't a good defense. So I don't mind if they give up more yards per play, more yards per drive, if they give up more points, but they give their team an extra possession a game by forcing a turnover. I don't mind that. So I think you'll see more blitzing and you'll see more challenging receivers at the line of scrimmage. Now, Noble says, hey, Jeff, pancakes, waffles, or crepes, and why? I don't know that I've ever had a crepe. Waffles are better than pancakes if done properly. Problem is, a lot of times you end up with a soggy waffle or a waffle that's too crispy. You got to get your waffle right to make the waffle the top of this, but the waffle is the best when done properly. Pancakes are all right. Nothing wrong with a pancake. And crepes, I believe, are just very, very thin pancakes. But I don't know that I've had a crepe. All right, I'll do the Byron thing. Talk about why you can't truly be an elite corner unless you take the ball away. Byron was only good. He didn't get thrown at because Cheeto was awful. If you can put your wide receiver on Cheeto and get numbers, why throw at Byron? Even Sherman managed to take the ball away in Seattle, and people literally said we will not throw on his side of the field. Good is not a strong enough word for, and I went and looked this up because I knew Byron wasn't targeted much. Amongst guys who are actual starters in the NFL and played 80% of coverage snaps, because you have to sort it by a number and they can only let you go 50 or 80, and 50 you get a bunch of guys who played like 50% of the snaps. So amongst starters who actually play most of the snaps, Byron Jones was the least targeted dude in the entire league. The entire league. He was thrown at 53 times. He was thrown at 3 times a game. Like, everybody really started getting on Byron. I think it was after the Aikman quote where he was like, you know, if you're not a turnover guy, then I can challenge you all game, and the worst that happens is an incompletion. They ain't challenging Byron. And when you were playing somebody who had a monster, if you needed Michael Thomas covered on a third down or Zach Ertz covered on a third down, you put Byron on him. Ball ain't going to him. The Byron disrespect is out of hand. He's not a Cowboy anymore, so I'm trying to stop caring and just I'm trying to let him roll off my back. But the Byron disrespect ends here. Byron Jones is no doubt one of the 10 best corners in football and maybe one of the best 5. And the disrespect ends here. Okay? You got it? They don't throw at him. People don't throw. He's the least thrown at dude in the entire league. The whole league. Just good. Can't handle it. You guys, pancakes, waffles, or crepes? Let me know in the comments. Do you think the defense has gotten better or worse, and why? From Mac Noyce. That is a great question because they did not replace Robert Quinn and they did not replace Byron Jones. Did they potentially replace Robert Quinn? If you get the absolute best result from Aldon Smith that's possible, then yeah, maybe, and Tyrone Crawford being back can help. You did lose your best corner and one of the 10 best corners in the league. I'll split it down. I'll be like one of the 7 best corners in the league. Yes, you lost a great corner that you did not replace. I think it's asking too much that Trayvon Diggs is going to step in and be Byron Jones. That's unrealistic. Is it unrealistic to think that Cheeto can play better than he did a year ago? Probably not. But I do believe this defense can be better, and I believe it's because of the Band-Aids they slapped on defensive tackle. I will pick this defense to be better, maybe not from all the analytical perspectives, but in terms of giving your team extra possessions, yes, I will say this defense will be a little bit better because you're going to get better defensive tackle play, which will lead to better linebacker play, and you're going to challenge receivers. Final answer. All right, leave it in the comments. Remember the thumbs ups. I see you guys out there giving the thumbs downs. I don't know what you guys are doing, but you know I'm sensitive. I don't need that in my life. Thumbs ups. You know, subscribe. Tell your friends to subscribe. YouTube.com/Jeff Kavanaugh. Leave in the comments what you want for tomorrow. Check 1053thefan.com every day. I'll see you on the radio in just a bit.